bakiriyansi baffe bawakanya obuyinza bwa kkooti eno okubawozesa mu nsonga nnyingi zonna zetayinza kuddamu wano, naye zonna nga mulabye nti kkooti eno terina buyinza kuwozesa misango gye bagamba nti gyazzibwa Kenya oba Greece oba Geneva, n'okuba nti babaleeta nga tebayise mu mateeka amatuufu ag'extradition, n'okuba nti nno kkooti eno terina buyinza ku ba civilian. Ekintu kkooti etaputa ssemateeka kyezeddamu enkya n'eggulo entakera n'emisango gyonna ne tugireeta wano. N'ekitwewunyisizza buli application gye tuteekayo dismissed, buli ke muteekayo tukagobye, so buli kye tuleeta bagoba bugobi. Awo naakula etteeka ssemateeka kirambika bulungi Article 137 nti singa oli pate emu bw'eba esabye nti ensonga zino zigende mu kkooti etaputa ssemateeka, ono bano tebalina buyinza buzigaana nazitaputa, balina buyinza buziframinga. Naye omulabye amenye ssemateeka ey'ennyingo 137 ye n'agamba nti tagenda kuziwaayo, aganye. Ekyokubiri, akawaayiro 225 aka UPDF Act kagamba nti atamatidde na nsala ye mu nsonga zonna n'engeri proceedings ezitambulamu oba omusango gye baguddukanyamu waddembe okwekubira endulu mu kkooti esingawo. Ekyo nakyo agambye nakyo tuganye. Obuyinza nga judge advocate yalagira nga senior counsel wabagambye nti judge advocate nga akomandinga bukomandinzi kakati ye yefudda amateeka, so judge advocate yeteeka kyalagira ye kati biragiro. So n'olw'ensonga eyo kiranti waffe ye ono bakiranti baffe insistinga nti tebalina bakiranti baffe insistinga nti kkooti eno tebalinaako buyinza, era kkooti teyinza bagaana kugenda mu kkooti etaputa ssemateeka, teyinza bagaana kujulira. N'olw'ensonga eyo era ne bagaa tebagenda kuteekinga puli, bo bali ne basalawo nga bwe basazeewo nti bawandiika ekyo. Neffe kye tugamba nti balina okukiteeka mu record, kukikapukyalinga bulungi mu record mu biwandiiko nti bakirantisi baffe bagaanye okuteekinga puli olw'ensonga nti tebakkiriziza mu kkooti eno okubawozesa, terina buyinza, terina buyinza bwonna mu mateeka kubawozesa, era bawozesa mu bukyamu ebakaka bukasi okubeera mu kaguli n'okubawozesa. So n'olw'ensonga eyo tugenda kusala tulina enkola endala gye tugenda okulaba bwe tukikolako, titutudde kyetwagala obbakakasa titugenda kuba nga tuddayo nga legal team, tugenda kutuula ate era tutakule emitwe era tubikkula amateeka amalala bwe baziba lino ekkubo nga ate tukwata eddala, bwe baggala lino nga tukwata eddala paka lwe tunaafuna obwenkanya.
Who is giving the orders? Although the regulations are very clear that he gives the advice and the court can refuse to take his advice for good reason which must be recorded. That to us means that we, the defense, can persuade the court not to take the advice of the judge advocate when it is misleading. But it's now no longer possible in this court because it's under total control of the judge advocate. One wonders then, what is the use of having a panel if the judge advocate makes all the decisions? Right now, the court refused to grant our request for a reference to the Constitutional Court on various questions, including the question of discrimination, because bringing civilians to a court-martial is discrimination when other civilians are being taken to the courts of judicature. We also challenged the territorial jurisdiction of the General Court-Martial. Our clients, Dr. Kisa Besigye and Mr. Rutale, were arrested in Kenya. Courts of Uganda have limited jurisdiction, limited to the territory of Uganda. So we had various constitutional questions, including the question of the arrest and incarceration of lawyer Aaron Chiza, who is part of the defense team of our two clients, and his absence disables their ability to defend themselves effectively. These are very substantial questions, but the court has declined, and when we have sought to appeal their ruling, and The law clearly says we have a right of appeal and uses the mandatory language, shall. The court, through the judge advocate, has declined, and even declined to hear our arguments. We are leaving this place very sad, not able to know whether the court is still going to function or it's the judge advocate, because he has totally hijacked.
Our clients insist they are not subject to martial law. Yes. It's the reason they have declined to take a plea. We have persistently put across that argument. We have invoked all the relevant laws to back up that argument that our clients are not subject to military law. They are not subject to martial law, and therefore this court has no jurisdiction to try them here. So they have refused to submit to the jurisdiction of this court, and that is the reason they are not taking a plea. And it's one of the reasons we sought for leave. No, actually not leave. It's one of the reasons we had made the application to have a reference to the Constitutional Court. The jurisdiction of this court, including those matters where the Constitutional Court has pronounced itself persistently even after the Kabazikuluka decision. Because every matter that has gone to the Constitutional Court, the verdict has been the same. The pronouncement has, and it is self-executing. We get a shock of our life when the prosecution said, we need an order of enforcement, of execution. When indeed the constitutional pronouncement or pronouncements of the Constitutional Court are self-executing. So we still maintain our clients are not subject to martial law, and this tribunal has no jurisdiction over them, and they will not take a plea before them. That's exactly what has happened. Say I'm declining to take a plea. No, and it's up to them to record whatever plea they want, whether it's a plea of guilty or not. But in law, once one declines to take a plea, they are obliged to do to record a plea of not guilty.
But they should also record that our clients refused to take plea. Therefore, the court has entered a plea of not guilty. So we are hoping that the registry will keep accurate records. The registry which the judge advocate tells us he is in charge.
In raised earlier, questions of discrimination, questions of a lawyer who is part of the team being arrested and detained and therefore not available, questions of fair process. There are quite a number of questions that have not been asked before. Also the fact that there is nothing in the Constitution that gives the UPDF judicial authority over civilians. And therefore, any act of parliament conferring judicial authority on civilians to the General Court Martial is unconstitutional. So it's a question the court will have to determine, to declare the UPDF Act unconstitutional to the extent that it confers judicial authority on civilians to the UPDF. And Mr. Chairman, when you are reading your ruling, you actually found that it was not, you alluded that it was not unconstitutional. The authority to interpret the Constitution is exclusively to the Court of Appeal, sitting as a constitutional court. So it will be useful even to you and the General Court Martial to hear an authoritative interpretation from the Constitutional Court as to whether you indeed can try any civilian in Uganda. The issue of extradition from Kenya, not extrajudicial rendition, not extradition. Extradition connotes a court process where orders are made. In this case, there was no court order. We urge that those issues are more than enough, and I'm asked by my colleagues that since we have exhausted, we end it here to give the prosecutor the chance to make a rejoinder.